If you've been looking for ways to make money online, you've probably heard a lot about digital products, and the reason they're so popular is incredibly simple. You create them once, and if everything goes to plan, you can sell them over and over again without having to worry about stock, shipping, or packaging. But here's the problem. Some ideas are incredibly competitive, some just won't sell, but others can become a genuine source of passive income if you approach it correctly. So in this video, I'm going to share the digital products I'd actually consider selling right now, who they're best suited for, and why I think they're worth your attention. Number 1, printable planners. So the first category is printable planners. And these are things like daily planners, weekly planners, meal planners, fitness trackers, budgeting sheets, habit trackers. People love organisation. And whether it's students, parents, or business owners, there's always demand for tools that help people stay on top in life. I know myself, I struggle to be organised, so a planner can be something that can be very useful. And the great thing is these don't have to be complicated. Sometimes the simplest designs work best. You just have to be very, very specific with who you're going after. What audience are you targeting? Because the difference between whether a planner sells or not is how well you've hit that audience. Have you got it in front of them in the right way? If you are targeting fitness and fitness trackers, then it needs to appeal very well to that audience. So just bear that in mind. But printable planners are essentially one of the most easiest digital products to easily make with very little experience. You can create one of these on Canva incredibly easily. So the difficulty for printable planners, I'm going to say, is 1 out of 5. Number 2, wedding templates. So next up are wedding templates, and this market is huge because people spend a lot on their wedding. Things like invitations, seating plans, welcome signs, menus, save the date cards. People are willing to spend lots of money to make their wedding feel unique. The beauty of digital products is that customers can often personalise and print them themselves. If you've got an eye for clean, elegant design, this can be a really interesting niche. These are a bit more difficult to create because you need to have maybe a bit of design experience if you want to make them look nice. So the difficulty for wedding templates, I'm going to say, is 2 out of 5. Number 3, printable wall art. So wall art has been around for years, but it's still selling because people like to decorate their homes and offices. The key difference now with printable wall art is originality, because generic quotes have become very saturated. So instead, you want to be looking at niche artwork, maps, educational prints, bedroom prints, and personalised designs. Customers can download these instantly and then just print them locally, which means no inventory, no shipping. But with wall art, you do want to make it look good for obvious reasons, because that's what they're there for. So ideally having some sort of design experience would be great. I'm going to put the difficulty here at 2 out of 5. But let's say you do have an idea of a good wall art and you're struggling to turn it into an actual good design. So you could spend hours manually trying to create this design. But if you want to get it done quickly and make it look really good, then you want to use a tool like Kittle, the sponsor of today's video, where you can easily create the design using AI and it looks really good. For example, let's say I wanted to create a piece of printable wall art. For this, I'm going to use Kittle. The useful thing about Kittle is that it combines AI tools for quickly exploring ideas with a proper design editor for refining the final result. So rather than asking AI to create something and simply accepting whatever it gives you, you can use it to generate a starting point and then take control of the design yourself. For example, if we quickly make a design right now, let's design a fairly simple idea, a vintage style travel print based around exploring the world. Inside Kittle, I can enter a prompt describing the style, subject, and overall appearance I'm looking for. So this is a really useful way to explore a direction quickly, especially when you know the type of product you want to make, but you don't yet have the final design mapped out in your head. And this version looks pretty good, so I'm going to use it as my starting point. But I wouldn't consider the design finished just yet, because now I can bring it into Kittle's editor and start refining it properly. I can change the wording, experiment with the typography, and adjust the layout so the different elements feel more balanced. I can also change the colours to give it a more consistent style and reposition individual parts of the design, rather than being stuck with just the original AI result. And that combination is the important part. The AI helps me explore ideas super quickly, but the editor gives me more precision to turn the idea into something that's more deliberate and professional. Once I'm happy with the design itself, I can also place it onto a mock-up, and this just lets me see how the artwork might look framed in an actual room, rather than presenting customers with a flat image on a blank background. For a product listing, that presentation can make a huge difference because customers can immediately picture what they're buying and how it might look in their own home. And within just a few minutes, we've gone from a basic prompt to a finished digital product and a professional looking product image that can be used in an Etsy listing or online shop. And you can use the same workflow for wall art, invitations, planners, social media templates, print on demand designs, and plenty of other product ideas. You can try Kittle for free using my link in the description, and you can use my promo code TylerTalks to get 25% off your first month or first year on any paid Kittle plan. Thanks again for Kittle for sponsoring this video. Now let's move on to the next product. Number 4, Notion templates. So Notion has exploded in the past few years. People use it for business, studying, project management, finance, content planning, but not everyone wants to spend hours creating the perfect workspace, and that's where templates come in. If you've already organized things yourself, you can essentially package that system and then sell it. Notion templates can make a ton of money. You've just got to market it right, and again, go for a specific audience. That is so important. In terms of difficulty, I'll rate this 3 out of 5, just because you've got to have some knowledge of templates and Notion templates. Number 5, resume templates. So job hunting never goes away, especially at the minute, and people constantly want professional looking CVs and resumes. Templates that look modern, clean and easy to edit continue to perform well. And this is another market where presentation matters. And obviously you can niche down and go for particular areas or industries, but with a lot of CVs and resumes, they will look pretty similar. So if you just have some professional looking templates and use them, then that's a good option to potentially sell and do well. In terms of difficulty, I'd say this is 2 out of 5. And that's usually because the simplicity here can really work. You don't want to overstuff a CV template because then it will just be too busy. So you might not need a huge amount of graphic design experience to pull this off. Number 6, social media templates. So a lot of businesses need content and creators need content, but small businesses don't often have designers or full-time graphic designers, and a lot of the time it can just be an added expense. So this is why editable Instagram posts, stories, Pinterest pins and other social graphics continue to sell so well, because businesses can easily use them again and again without having to shell out for a graphic designer every time or pay for expensive software. And also, you don't just have to sell one template. You can bundle them together into complete packs and just increase the order value. The difficulty here I'd rate 2 out of 5, but there's a lot of variation here because there's a lot of businesses and a lot of industries. And again, niche down. Find that audience, find that particular area or industry and make templates specific to them. Number 7, digital colouring books. So this might surprise people, and that's because colouring books usually you'd think are only sold to children. But actually, adult colouring books remain very popular for relaxation and mindfulness. And also children's educational colouring books do continue to perform well as well. But this is a niche that rewards creativity, and more people are interested in this than you think. Just take a look at the niches at what these colouring books are targeting, as that's incredibly important for research, and you can then make a decision if this is something you want to pursue, but it does do well. Difficulty with this, probably 2, maybe 3 out of 5, depending on what you're targeting. Number 8, educational worksheets. So teachers, parents, homeschooling families, there's a constant demand for educational resources. So if you think maths worksheets, reading activities, flashcards, preschool learning, if you enjoy creating educational content, then this can become a very sustainable niche. And educational content is always going to be in demand. There's not going to be a massive shift in society where we don't have education anymore. So this is something that will always stay in demand. Again, just do some research, scroll through Etsy, scroll through some platforms, and just work out what people are targeting and how they're positioning themselves. The difficulty with this, I would say, is 4 out of 5, and that's because with educational stuff, you want to do your own research and get it right. Number 9, business templates. So businesses are constantly looking for shortcuts. So what templates could you sell to them? Well, that could be invoice templates, proposal templates, presentation templates, business planners, client onboarding documents. Rather than designing from scratch, people would rather pay a small amount for something that's already done. So just like the social media templates, these are incredibly useful for businesses. If they're trying to impress a client, for example, they want to use something that looks really good. If you create a template that actually will help them input their own credentials and content to send to a client, then you could potentially do really well here. This can be a bit more difficult because depending on the business you're targeting, it might change the complexity of the templates. So I'm going to say the difficulty of this is 3, maybe 4 out of 5. Number 10, digital journals. And finally, digital journals. And these can include gratitude journals, self-care journals, manifestation journals, productivity, reflection. Mental well-being continues to be a very important area, and people are increasingly looking for digital tools that help them build positive habits. And this is a fairly easy one to create, so I'd say the difficulty will be 2 out of 5. Now, before you rush off and start creating all 10 of these, there's one mistake I do see people make quite a lot of the time, and that is they try to create everything. Instead of becoming known for one thing, they upload a planner, then a colouring book, then a wedding invitation, then a business template, and then some wall art. And there's no clear direction. It's probably better to build a shop around a singular niche first. For example, if you decide to focus on budgeting, create budgeting planners, savings trackers, debt payoff sheets, and financial goal templates. And then if someone buys one product and likes it, they're much more likely to buy another related one. Then you can build a collection around a single audience. And that's usually a much stronger strategy than trying to appeal to everyone. And remember, you don't have to create the absolute perfect digital product. The best thing to do is just to get started today. Pick one niche that really interests you, research what's being sold in that area and what's doing well, and then think about how you could make something better or more useful, and then just get your first product published as quickly as possible, because that will start giving you experience. The reality is your first product probably won't be perfect, and that's okay. You'll learn far more by getting into the marketplace than by endlessly tweaking it behind the scenes. And remember, every single digital product seller started with one listing. Hopefully this has given you a few different ideas for your digital product journey. Like I said, if you want to get started with Kittle, then use my link in the description below along with the promo code. And if you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.